All right, this is Dolores. I wanted to put this really quick clip out at the beginning before my intro. Not your typical Mexican daughter. Definitely needs a content warning before you read this book. If you are sensitive to anything within the range of mental health, I don't want to spoil anything, but there is mental health addressed in different forms, and it does have a big standpoint in the story. So if you're very sensitive to that, I would be careful reading the book. And if it has any triggers, again, be careful reading the book. Or maybe, not read it at all, even though you will see later that I do like the book. But this is content warning for the vlog and the book. All right, on to the intro. Hey guys, so it's Dolores again. As of filming this right now, I haven't finished editing or published my uncle's review of his book. So obviously I don't have your input of, do you want this kind of vlog? So I'm gonna start it, do it anyways. And again, like I said in another video, whether no one really replies or no one has an opinion, I'm gonna make the final decision anyways. So I already, I couldn't wait, and I already started listening to I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter. It is a YA about a girl in high school, and so in the back cover, this is not spoilers. It's about her going through high school, and then where did it happens off book, but her sister passes away suddenly in an accident, and it's her feeling very lonely, and it's her realizing that she doesn't know really much about her sister, and her journey to, so far from what I've seen, again, I'm like midway or like a little bit before midway. I should have wrote down where I'm at, but I didn't. Her wanting to know about her sister and these surprises that she found in her room, and of like, was her sister who she thought she was, or was she a different person? And maybe she didn't know her sister as well as she thought she did. So far, that's where this journey is, but it's not necessarily a mystery because it's still very much a contemporary where she's going through her life, and you are going through high school with her. It's more of like a pocket thing where it's like this amount of stuff happens, and then there's a time speed up so far, and then you're in the next year. So far again. But that is the book that I'm reading right now. Because it's an audiobook, I will much likely finish it much quicker. Like I said, I'm almost halfway through, and I literally only listened to it for a day and a half. Because I was listening to it while I was working the desk at work. So I was able to do two things at once. Because a lot of the times I'm literally just sitting there at the desk, not talking to anybody, doing computer stuff with the patient's charts and things. So I'm not really talking to people, so I can sit and listen to a book and do all my computer stuff without having a problem. But again, if I can figure out how to do a picture in a picture, I'll put the cover here. It'll probably be popped up earlier, but I'll put the cover here. If not, I'll put it in between me talking. So yeah, cover. So like I said, it's young adult, contemporary, and if you look up, I have my tablet here to look up the Goodreads listing. It does have it under a mental health shelf. So there's a couple of mental health shelves that it looks like it's on. And I do agree, coming at this point in the book, if you read the back of the book, you don't really see that, but reading the book so far, you can definitely tell that there is some issue. So if you're sensitive to like grief and loss and usually what comes with that, I would be very careful reading this book. Again, so far from what I've read, because I cheated and started reading it before I did this. So just as a warning. But really, that's all. This is the beginning of this reading vlog. Yeah, I guess I should call it a reading vlog. It's a reading vlog. And that's it. I did a clip before this because I couldn't wait, like I said, about my opinion, and that will be the next clip after this. So I will see you guys then and later. All right, bye.
Hey guys, so I'm impatient and I can't wait. I'll do like a proper intro before this, but um, it was Monday, but it's Tuesday, September 15th now, and I started the I'm Not the Perfect Mexican Daughter book audiobook, and I've been listening to it off and on today at work while I'm at the desk, and I love it. Like the first chapter already had stuff that totally I found relevant to myself. Like, I've felt this way. I've totally felt this way. Oh, it's bumpy. I'm sorry. Um, like totally have felt this way. And there have been plenty of other things so far in the book, where I'm like, yes, I have 100% felt this way when I was growing up. Some other things are not relevant because my parents were strict, but they were still very progressive in a Mexican standpoint. If anything, some of the things that she talks about, I have reference to other family members, either telling my parents or me overhearing or them telling me in a way where it's like they disapprove because I'm Americanized. Um, I'm not the like perfect Spanish speaking, like the book says, Mexican daughter, which much like the book, our main character is not. She's Mexican American. She was born in Chicago. She was born in America. Though she does speak Spanish because her parents are immigrants, which makes complete sense. It's not uncommon for second generation children, or first generation American children to speak the native language of the immigrant family so that they can communicate. And like I've said before, I am multiple generations removed from that. So yeah, I just had to say something. There's multiple times throughout my shift where I've like wanted to pull out the camera and say something because it's an audiobook and I can't like show a picture of like this part or this page or whatever. I definitely want to buy this book now because I can totally see myself reading it again. Um, but yeah, so I just wanted to pop in here and say that I completely already love this book in the sense it is totally relevant to me. Well, at least teenage me, like high school me, for sure. Even middle school me, honestly. Um, so yeah, if you're wondering where I'm at, I'm in the parking garage of the hospital because I couldn't wait to talk to you guys until I got home. So yeah, all right, bye. Hey, so I just wanted to do an update really quick for my book vlog. I listened to some more of my book on my way to work. I didn't listen on the way home because I'm listening to Kevin and Laura's writing sprints from yesterday. And I'm actually glad that I stopped where I stopped and didn't read it on break because I was on vacation trying to be happy and rest. And oh my freaking gosh, after this point in the book, it gets freaking heavy. So heavy. But if you read the book, I'm kind of outing myself. But this also is super relatable for a different reason, but it's definitely relatable, unfortunately. But oh my gosh. I love and hate this book at the same, not hate, but like love and like am uncomfortable with this book at the same time. And I don't know what percentage I'm at. Honestly, I stopped it, bookmarked it when I got to work, and then closed it. And I was so busy I couldn't listen to anymore. So, I'm not in frame. I'm sorry. I'm tired. I need to go to sleep. Uh, cue yawn. So yeah, I just wanted to do a quick update of I'm enjoying the book. I'm back to listening to it. I'll listen to some more on my way to work today. And maybe I'll do a clip. Maybe I won't. We'll see what happens. We'll see how I feel, if I feel like I need to. But yeah. So far, I totally 100% recommend this book. It deserved its award that I got. I don't remember what it was, but I remember it getting something. So 100% deserved this. All right, I'm going to bed. Bye. Hey, so I wanted to take a quick minute. I know I don't film at work, or at least while I'm at work, and I am doing my partial shift, so I have a little break real quick. I just finished the book, listening to "I'm Not Your Perfect Daughter," and I enjoyed it. I'm gonna do a whole sit down, talk about the book and everything I thought, but I wanted to do a wrap up like right after listening to it, and I really enjoyed it. It got so heavy at the end. I cannot believe that this is a young adult book. It seems way more like it should be an adult book, but I loved it. It was intense. I related to it so many ways, in so many different ways, completely, and just totally loved it. I think I'm gonna do Cemetery Boys next, but I'm gonna take. Oh, I know. This this vlog will come up probably in November because I did the tag this month. But I'm gonna take a little break because this book was really heavy, and I don't know how heavy the other book is gonna be. I know it's had really good reviews, but I think I'm gonna read something like kind of happy, maybe one of my romance stuff, or like read part of it, just kind of like as a cleansing palette because this was really intense, especially at the end. Um, and I feel like it end had a really good relatable factor. So I'm gonna go back to work, but I just wanted to do a really quick like wrap up of my brain and what I was thinking, and that's just, yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm definitely gonna give it 5 stars. Um, I do have some things that I wish had been, because I don't think they would have been spoilers, but had been talked about at the beginning of the book, like content warnings. But I'll talk about that when I do my sit down review on the book. All right, so I will see you guys then. Bye. Hey, so this is the end clip for the book vlog for the Hispanic Mexican American author, writer, character thing. I don't know. I don't. It's sort of, that's what I'm sort of calling it. I feel like it needs to be shorter, but so I read "Not Your Typical Mexican Daughter," as you will see in the intro and then in all the clips. I loved this book. It was great. Again, I listened to it on Audible, not sponsored. But I listened to it. I didn't physically read it, but it, that doesn't matter. So, it, I think it had great representation for the Mexican American community. She is the daughter of immigrants, so it's still a little bit different than like where my family is at, for me, for my generation, where we're a few more years removed.
from immigration, the idea, not idea, life. But a lot of the things that she experiences and a lot of the ideas and mentality are still very prevalent for me and very relatable. The idea of wanting to embrace America and how America is versus what traditional Mexican values seem and or are. And I appreciated that very stark difference and very realistic reality because on one side of my family, who is less removed from the immigration story, they're still very traditional in certain aspects, uh, Mexican family dynamic versus the other side of my family, which is a little bit more mixed. And the side that's very more closer to traditional values, I see that um, that stark reality that like I am Mexican American, I live in America. I've talked about numerous times at this point how I don't speak Spanish, and almost everybody on that side of the family does. And it's very alienating. Me and my siblings tend to literally just huddle together by ourselves during family events and didn't mingle very much with anybody else. We felt very alienated because of the way they saw the family, the way we felt that they saw us, the fact that we didn't speak Spanish, so we couldn't relate to things. Like we didn't watch Hispanic television or the Mexican channels. We watched a lot of pretty much not a lot of we only really watched American television. And as I've said before, if you've watched other vlogs or other videos, my family and I are nerds to different degrees. We watched a lot of nerdy science, sci-fi, fantasy, cartoon-esque television, which was not necessarily something that everybody on that other side of the family did. I did have some cousins that were much more in the middle, and we did get along together, and those were the ones that we were closer to. But when they didn't show up to an event, again, me and my siblings were very much just kind of in our own corner, very isolated, because we didn't feel like we belonged. And this story touched on that aspect on both sides, not feeling like you relate to your heritage community and not understanding why people felt certain ways, and then not necessarily feeling like you are attached to the society you think you are, like America. For her, it's a little bit more stark because she's the first generation and I'm multiple generations now removed, but that idea is still very much there. And the other thing that I thought was great was the idea of image and how her image of herself and how everyone viewed her and how she viewed herself, which then cascades into something else, which is much more spoilery. And then the image of her sister and how she viewed her sister, how everyone else viewed her sister, and how her sister actually is. And that's again a story and a journey that takes place over the story, that is just that constant thread of the story. And it seems like sometimes you think we forget about it, but we don't. It constantly gets tied back into the plot, back into the narrative. It's that core, that middle of the story. And does get resolved at the end, for her at least. And I think that it's it's a good point, especially more so for like first generation immigrant children, where they're trying to embrace the nation that they're in, whether it be America or many like Arab first generation children who their families immigrated from somewhere in the Middle East to Europe, I'm sure they have similar ideas and feelings of that in wanting to embrace but not sure how, but not, and having your family not understand. There was actually, I didn't watch the movie, but the trailers seemed to touch on this. There was a movie um that took place in England, I believe, and it was about an Indian family. And the trailers kind of talked about that, where he wants to be a poet and he's really good at it, but the family's like, no, I did not come here for you to waste your life, and you need to have a good job, and so on and so forth. And that idea still is the same, no matter where you came from, where your family immigrated from, what nationality or heritage you are. If you are a minority group, or just necessarily the immigrant ideology of I moved from this bad place to this better place so my children have a better life. So you expect them to want that. You expect them to be like, oh, yes, I will continue on to get whatever lifestyle job that you expect of me. So, this is kind of the idea. Now, I'm going to find a way to put something that says spoilers, because I do want to talk about some stuff in the story that is definitely spoilery, but I think is very important. So here somewhere on the screen, it will say spoilers, or there will be a thing on the screen that indicates that I'm talking about spoilers, and then I will take it off when we're done. So, spoilers in 1, 2, 3. Okay. So, Julieta talks about, you can, as the story goes on, you can tell that she's falling deeper and deeper into depression. And she has been very removed from her life for actually a very long time. And we learn through the therapist that that was actually how it is, but she just didn't recognize it, especially because within minorities, mental health is something that is not addressed and is not talked about, whether you're male and female, and especially if you're male. Now, you can see, after learning about this and thinking back to the beginning of the story, you can tell she had lots of anxiety and she was very cautious around people at the beginning. And then as you get to the point where you realize that she is depressed after she cuts herself and almost kills herself, that idea um, of her family being very scared and not sure what to do. And honestly, to me, I feel like it was an overreaction because the family didn't, her parents, I should clarify, didn't know how to deal with her. And I don't think shipping her off to Mexico was an appropriate choice for them to have. Because she even mentions it in the story that many families that she knows, where they shipped their kids off to Mexico because their daughters got pregnant or their sons were starting to get on with gangs and stuff like that. And a lot of the times it ended up being bad over there because they either got into more gangs or the girls never came back, things in that sense. And I felt bad because she had this terror in her. And yes, it did seem, because she didn't have any worries and she got to write and kind of do whatever she wanted, she felt free. But I feel like that was a false sense of like security, because then she has to come back home and face certain realities. And it would have been better for her to stay home, work with the therapist, and heal and learn how to progress forward in a healthy way, with her mental disabilities, and see that she can still be a functional person without needing to go hide and pretend that things aren't actually happening. Because I feel like the author put the cartel coming to get the money and the shooting as that like sharp reality of like, oh yeah, life is not all rainbows and unicorns. You can't just pretend that stuff isn't happening. And I felt really, really bad for Julieta when that happened. I also think that, again, some of the stuff was um, not realistic in her sense of like her tracking down the boyfriend and finding out, what was happening and truths. Uh, that's what she needed to heal, but I understand the spiral effect, and that's how the story was going and that's what was going to happen. I get that, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I just thought that that was kind of unrealistic, but I liked the fact that she kind of took the idea that her sister seemed to be stalled in life, and she wanted some more for her sister. And then the fact that the baby obviously never got to be born because of the accident, that she chose to carry the picture of the sonogram with her and live for them and want to be uh have the life that neither of them could have because of family and feelings of obligation, and then also just because of how life is just kind of unfair with, she falls in love with a man that's married, you know everyone kind of just seems like they were taking advantage of, but he did end up divorcing the wife. So sometimes when you wait too long, things just don't happen. And I enjoyed the fact that, what, she just has to take that plunge, even if it's just like a little tiny plunge. You just gotta go for it. That was kind of like my idea of doing, not necessarily the book vlogs, but YouTube in general, because I wanted to do things, I decided not to, and now I'm like, what, this is what I want to do. So those ideas are still that sense, but I'm glad that they talked about these big topics, including the cutting, because not necessarily for the same reason, but I also did some self-harm when I was younger, and it's still sometimes just a mental battle that I have with myself every so often, because I, being the oldest, felt like many things fell on me, whether they did or didn't in reality. But I had that thought process that, if something happened wrong, it was my fault, and like I had to be punished and I needed to do things. And a lot of those times, those did um, cross over to me actually physically punishing myself for things that were not in my control and were not my responsibility. And there was no way that I could control these situations, but my mind interpreted it that way. So I am glad that it talked about that. The only thing I did wish is that it did have a content warning at the beginning of the book. So I'm going to cut spoilers now. Okay, like I said, I really enjoyed this. I thought it was very good representation, healthy representation, because she does have, besides just the Hispanic viewpoint of multiple cases, they have her and her journey. She has a friend who kind of reflects a different type of journey of first generation or just Hispanic heritage. And then she also has another friend who is represented with the LGBTQ plus, I don't know if I said all those letters correctly, representation, and the representation within a minority culture, and how it's so very difficult for um, that community to not represent, to express themselves within a minority culture. This specifically being the Hispanic culture, with that being very difficult. And I loved that representation and journey. Though those aren't highlighted, they're very much talked about, and we check in on them periodically. Again, hers is the main journey. So I totally recommend you reading this book, especially to get a good insight on what it feels like to grow up in a Hispanic family and how that feels. This is again emphasized within first generation Mexican American family, but a lot of the points that are highlighted can still carry on over, and I felt some of those. So I recommend it. I haven't technically rated it yet on Goodreads because I was waiting to do this, but I would definitely give it like a 4.5. I don't know if I'm going to give it a 4 or a 5 on Goodreads, but I definitely loved the idea and the representation in the story. I'm leaning more towards 5 because I really did love it. I definitely had like, I think a week where I stopped listening to it because I felt the tension of something happening, and something that was very similar that happened to me, and I was just like, nope, not ready. And then later when I went back, I was like, oh yeah, I'm glad that I stopped, because I was not in a headspace to listen to that, because it was even more than I expected. So that is that. Now, the next story, I listened to a little bit of it and realized I should probably wait till I do this so I keep this in my head and not a whole new story in my head, because I'm going to listen to it also. But I'm going to be listening to Cemetery Boys, which is also a it sounds like it's a not first generation, but it is a Mexican American character, and I believe the author is too. I should have done more research before I film this, but I will do an intro about that one later. Probably not today, but at some point, because I have time, because that one's not going to come out till January. So, again, I recommend it. If you read this book, I Am Not Your Typical Mexican Daughter, let me know what you thought down in the comments below. Give me your ratings, if you thought it was good, if you thought it was bad. If you have spoilers, make sure you tag them. It's not fair to read spoilers if you're not that kind of person. You know, depending on the book, sometimes I do like spoilers and sometimes I don't. So tag your spoilers in the comments, because it's not fair. But let me know what you thought, what your ranking was, how you felt about the book. And if you've read Cemetery Boys, maybe let me know what you thought about that without spoilers, because I don't want spoilers. I already listened to a little bit and I like it so far. So, yeah, that's it for that. And if you like this content, the next one will be up in January, because they're bi-monthly book vlogs. And I also do writing vlogs, which are usually done bi-weekly, but this is NaNoWriMo when this will be published, and I'm doing weekly writing vlogs. If you want to check that out, and my struggle in the writing NaNoWriMo lifestyle and my journey to be a traditional published author / maybe hybrid author. I also do unboxings of the Scribbler box every month, and I just published uploaded a new unboxing for October, and I will link that up in the cards above. And I also do tags, trying to get tags back. It's holiday season, so there's some extra ones. I did a fall and a Halloween tag for October. You can check those out. And I will be doing a November Thanksgiving tag, so keep an eye out for that. If you're interested in that, subscribe down below. And thank you for watching this. And like I said, let me know what you thought, what you think, and thank you. Bye.